You are wastefully using 90% of your mental energy without even realizing it. There's this common figure that's come out of universities or people who have studied the brain, and they say that we only utilize 10% of our brains. And I used to think that was stupid. Like, how do we only utilize 10% of our brains? But I've come to realize that that's the truth. Not because we're incapable of using the other 90%, but because we spend that other 90% uselessly suffering. I would argue that most people, I'd even go as far as to say 99% of people, spend their lives mentally suffering in a constant state of mental anguish, not because of what's going around them, but because of what they subject themselves to in their mind. And when you ask people how they are, there's always something wrong. Like, very rarely do people say they are good and they mean it. Not because things outside aren't good, but because their internal state is always in a state of suffering. And the best way to get you to understand how we are always mentally suffering is to compare the relationship that you have with your mind to the one that you have with your body. See, when it comes to your body, how often do you think about your body? Unless you have body dysmorphia, unless you are very insecure about a certain body part, you don't think about your body often. The only time your body comes into your attention is when something's wrong. So let's say your back is stiff, your hamstrings are stiff, you went to the gym yesterday, now you're like, I need to stretch. So for the time while your muscles are stiff, while they're painful, while there's tension, that's when you're thinking about it. And I know this to be true because I don't think about my body often. Quite frankly, the only time I really think about my body is when I look in the mirror and when I'm in the gym. Other than that, I'm not thinking about my body. So I live in this state where my body is just doing its job. It's functioning, it's getting me from A to B, it's carrying out whatever it needs to carry out. Last week, Friday, I was doing shoulder press in the gym. So as I was putting the weight down, I like hunched my back and I stretched it and I felt this sharp pain. So I thought I pulled a muscle. Luckily, I think it was just like a pinched nerve, whatever. The point is, it was just pain, but my strength was there and it subsided after 3 to 4 days, right? Before those 3 to 4 days, I was constantly thinking about my back. Oh, when is my back going to get better? Oh, how can I make my back better? How can I stretch? How can I stretch so that things get better for my back in a quicker manner? And if any of you, I say any of you, there's probably two of you who I talk to regularly who watch my videos. So for the two people who I talk to every day, and you also watch my videos, you'll notice that over the past weekend, I was talking about my back quite often. Like, my back is sore, it's stiff. I don't know if I'll be able to gym. I don't know what type of injury this is, right? But you also notice that I never actually talk about my back. I never really talk about my body. Oh, this body part's in pain. The only time I'll be talking about body parts or consciously thinking about them is when they're in pain. And now I'm addressing, okay, how can I solve this problem? So that's the relationship that we have with our body. We only think about problem solving when it comes to our body when there is actually a problem. But see, now if you compare it to the relationship that you have with your mind, we are constantly in this state of trying to see threat. We think, let's say you have a fear of rejection. By trying to protect yourself from this fear of rejection, you continually think about it and put yourself in a state of constant rejection. So, how this will manifest in your life is, let's say you have a fear of being rejected by the people around you. When you're now picking your outfit in the morning, you're thinking, oh, what will people think? What if they don't like this outfit? Not realizing that you're putting yourself in a state of rejection. Rejection from who? No one but yourself. We live our lives mentally punishing ourselves, mentally suffering about things that aren't even happening at that moment. If you have a fear of embarrassment, let's say you have a public speech coming up. See, there's no threat in that current moment, but you are subjecting yourself to the suffering of thinking about being embarrassed in the future. What if I get embarrassed? What if I mispronounce a word? What if people laugh at me because I can't remember what I was supposed to say? What if people don't understand the moral of my story because I don't convey it in a concise manner? You are always thinking about these what if statements. You're always thinking about how things could go wrong, not recognizing that thinking about how things could go wrong mentally is equivalent to things going wrong, because you start to experience the same emotions that you would experience if things were going wrong. Have you ever thought about someone that you love passing away and you might be next to them? They're extremely healthy, life is good, you might even be on holiday, but just the thought of that person passing away makes tears form in your eyes. So this shows that mental suffering isn't like physical suffering. You can only physically suffer when you're in pain. But mentally suffering, you can just imagine pain, imagine an event that will cause you pain, and you already begin to suffer. The reason why I said in the beginning of this video that we only use 10% of our minds is because we use 90% of our mind. 90% of our thoughts are thinking about, oh, what if this happens, right? So for me, in the past, I would be thinking, "Ish, what if people don't like the way that I dress? What if people don't like the way that my head looks? What if this person doesn't see my value and then they're like, you know what, I'm gonna leave?" Right? I was always thinking about these scenarios where things could go wrong. So I was subjecting myself to constant suffering. I was never at peace. I was always on edge looking for the threat. Oh, what if this? What if that? Because what you need to recognize is that when you are thinking these what if thoughts, ish, what if I get embarrassed? What if this person rejects me? You are mentally going through that picture of rejection. So when you think, ish, what if this person that I really like rejects me? In your mind, you're imagining being rejected. So it's the same as that mental suffering. So I feel like I've repeated that point a lot of times and you're probably getting tired of it. So the moral of all that I've told you up until this point is we subject ourselves to mental suffering. We constantly think about our fear, our anxiety, what we don't want to happen for 90% of the time. So much so that only 10% of our energy, only 10% of our mental energy is left for us to do the things that we actually need to do and the things we want to do that will lead to the life that we want to have. Going back to the analogy about your body, you thinking about how to fix a certain problem, that's defense. So you're thinking how to defend your body. Oh, I'm hurt. How do I defend this hurt? How do I recover from this? Those are defensive strategies to make sure that the situation doesn't get worse. So it's only when you're injured that you think about your injury. But when it comes to our minds, when things are going good, we think about how they could be going bad. We think about how things could possibly go bad. So the way to have a relationship with your mind that is similar to the one that you have with your body is to only think about fears that are prevalent in that moment and to not prophesy about what could happen, what will happen, but rather to just live in the present moment. And a lot of times people tell you, live in the present moment, live in the present moment. But living in the present moment is much harder than anyone would like to admit because we are programmed to be scanning for threats, right? So if you're scanning for threats, you're not really present in that moment because what's in front of you is, oh, there's trees. But in the back of your mind, you're thinking, there could be danger around the corner. So what you need to do is to shift from playing defense to playing attack, to maintaining your attention on things that are happening in that moment and on things that you want to happen. Because I honestly believe it's much better to be in a state of bliss, a state of daydreaming about what could go right rather than thinking about what could go wrong. Because when you focus on what could go wrong, the lens at which you see reality is now about what could go wrong. So you are looking out for those cues of things that could go wrong. So you're going to naturally notice more of the imperfections of the world that you live in. Whereas someone who plays on attack, they focus on the things they want to do, the things that they're doing right now, and their dreams for the future. Those people, they live on attack. Their lens is based on opportunity, opportunity for growth, opportunity for more, opportunity for development. Do you see now how this can affect you? I noticed this with my coaching client. The less he focused on thinking about what could go wrong, see, it didn't necessarily stop things from going wrong, but it enhanced his positive reactions to those things. He now responded to setbacks that would have, in the past, derailed him. He would be lying in bed thinking, I'm a failure. But now those things, he looked at them from a lens of positivity, from a lens of growth. And in turn, he's now more positive. His life looks more positive and he has grown. Oh yeah, by the way, I help high performers achieve a mental reset using my program in 3 to 5 weeks. See, a mental reset looks different for everyone. Some people want more clarity. Some people want to reignite the vision they once had. Some people just want to be more present, which allows them to perform better. So if you're interested in that, check the description. You can see links to my various pages. As human beings, we have this tendency to desire progress, right? So in this video, I have described the relationship we have to our bodies versus the relationship we have to our minds. Our bodies, we only think about problems when there is a problem. When your back is sore, you think about how your back's sore. See, we consciously know this, and this is a common meme that's out there that, oh, my nose is blocked. Now I'm remembering all those times that my nose wasn't blocked and I took it for granted. See, we only think about a problem when there is a problem. But when it comes to our mind, it's the opposite. We spend so much time thinking about what could go wrong that when things are well, we don't enjoy those well things because we're thinking about what could go wrong. We're thinking about the next obstacle somewhere along the line. And to just see how that affects your progress in this life, I just want you to compare your ease of progress when it comes to, let's say, building muscle, getting fitter, compared to changing the way that you think. One would argue that changing the way that you think is extremely hard because it's been based off of years and years of information, experiences, exposure to certain things, right? But the same for your body. The reflection of your body now is just a culmination of your habits, what you eat every day, how you work out. Fair enough, there's genetics. Genetics play a part in that. But for a large part, your body, the state it's in right now, is a reflection of all your habits over the past, let's say, 5 years. With your body, you're only thinking about what's wrong when something's wrong. So for 90% of the time, you're on attack mode. You're thinking about the present moment. Okay, let me do this workout. Okay, let me go on this walk. Okay, let me lift these weights, right? So, how much progress do you make when it comes to your body? And what's your rate of progress? What's the ease of progress in terms of building a physique? Now, compare that to your mind. What is the ease of progress in trying to change a belief? Right? Because when we try to change a belief, a lot of the times we're changing for a more positive belief. But we have programmed ourselves to always think about our fears, our anxieties, the obstacles, the reason why something couldn't work, potential sources of pain, potential sources of rejection. We are always fighting against ourselves that it's hard to make any type of improvement when it comes to our mental side. If you're being truthful and you compare the rate at which you progress in terms of your body and in terms of your mind, for most of you, I'd even say all of you, it is much easier for you to progress in terms of your body than your mind. Because on your body, you're not wasting useless energy trying to protect yourself from things that aren't happening, trying to be like, oh, ish, this might happen. Like, imagine if you were so scared that you were going to get a knee injury. That's what you thought about. When you were doing your chest workouts, you think, what if I get a knee injury? Do you honestly think you'll be able to put as much effort into that chest workout as you could? Like, imagine you worrying about getting a knee injury took physical energy. How much physical energy would you have left to improve your body, to do your chest workouts? See, it's stupid to even assume that worrying about your knee will take away physical energy, but that's how it is for our mind. Our minds have a limited amount of mental energy every day, and the more resources that we spend on worrying about what could go wrong, about thinking about our fears, our anxieties, obstacles, the less energy that we have to think about things that actually matter. So, you're listening to all of this and you're like, oh, what's the point of all this stuff that you're saying, huh? Like, how is this going to help me? The point of this video is to get you to a point, or actually, to get you to a realization that you are spending your life in a constant state of mental suffering and you need to get out of it. Because now imagine if once you get out of that state, or not even get out of the state, imagine if you just half the amount of time that you thought about your problems. How much more energy would you have? How much better would the quality of your work be, your performances, if you had double the amount of energy that you have now, but mentally? The solution for this is quite a simple one, but think less about yourself and think more about what you want to do and think more about the present. Because we get lost in ourselves. We know ourselves not enough, but also a bit too well. And a bit too well being all our fears, all our negative quirks, whatever it is. We know that. So we start thinking about how people can reject us for certain parts of our character. We start thinking about how we may fail certain things because we're not good at X, Y, Z. Imagine if you stop thinking about your fears before they were needed. And that's really the solution of it. Stop thinking about things that aren't happening in that moment. You're wearing a certain thing. Let's say you put on a funky outfit. Like, there's no point about worrying. What if people will think that I'm weird for wearing this? Because you don't know. And if people do think you're weird for wearing it, you'll find out when the time's right. There is no need to worry about it. The solution to this is to only worry about things that require your concern in the present moment. So if someone has rejected you in the present moment, then you can think, oh, okay, what was it? Like, damn. But it's of no use to be spending the hours leading up to that event thinking about what if this person rejects me, because now you're just using valuable mental energy to just worry. That's the solution. I know it might be a bit anticlimactic, but honestly speaking, that is the source of all our mental suffering. We worry about things that we need not to worry about, things that are 10 years down the line. Quite literally. Like sometimes I find myself mentally suffering because I'm thinking about, oh, how am I gonna raise kids? How am I gonna do X, Y, and Z when I'm married and I have to take care of my wife and my son? Like it doesn't matter. Like right now I'm 22 years old. I'm not married. I have no need to worry about that right now. Right now, quite literally, all I need to worry about right now is delivering this video as best as I can, and that's the only thing I need to worry about. Imagine if, as I was making this video right now, I'm thinking about, oof, what if you guys reject me? What if these guys don't like the way I sound? What if no one watches this video? Does that help me in any way thinking about those things while I'm doing this? It's taking away my mental energy from what I need to do to what's not even a concern. Like, quite honestly, if you guys don't like the way I sound, then go away. Go watch another YouTuber. If you don't like the way I look, then look at something else. Like, there are billions of people in this world, right? And we shouldn't spend our lives thinking about what could go wrong. Because when it comes to, let's say, rejection, there are people out there that will accept us for who we are. But ish, I'm digressing. The point is, only focus on what is of concern at that present moment.